Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement with best-selling author and fiduciary Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it, get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
It's called confidence. And unfortunately, with all of the changes and uncertainty the world can muster up, it appears to be waning in terms of how many Americans feel confident about their future. So, what is confidence? Well, Webster's defines it as a feeling or consciousness of one's powers or of reliance on one's circumstances. Well, where does confidence come from? I'll have to say, as someone who has for many years had an interest in helping others be more confident in their futures, I would venture to say that the level of one's confidence in the future can in many cases be attributed to one's success in the past. For instance, since this is a show about money and retirement, assuming you were one of those hard-working Americans who experienced the stock market crash of 2008, today, you might be a tad skittish about investing all of your life savings back into the stock market based on the fact that you lost over 50% of your life savings in 2008. Your past experience, in other words, which in this case was very negative, does little for your confidence in Wall Street moving forward. However, if you did not experience a bunch of losses back in 2008 and instead recently have watched your 401k climb through the roof as we record this show on April 27th, 2021, you might feel very confident about leaving all your money in the stock market, even if you are retired. But therein lies the problem. Seeing as though this show is geared towards savers, that is, those folks who are not so confident in the future of our economy and their ability to use and enjoy their money, and when to go through another stock market correct or crash if that happens, we need to understand why and how to set up a game plan that we savers can be confident in, and that's the topic of our show. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, confidence building specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And with us, as always, on our radio show in the studios live here in Louisville, Kentucky, is Mr. Aaron Orander, who happens to go by confidently America's favorite financial sidekick. How are you doing, Aaron?
Hey, good morning, sir. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing very good, very good. And we've kind of had some fun laying out this show. And again, as we record this show on April 27th, 2021, the economy appears to be roaring back. The stock market is at all-time highs. But Aaron, I mean, do you really sense in a lot of ways people are real confident in their future? Or would you say most people coming out of this pandemic and all the riots in the streets and just all the stuff you see on the news that maybe people are maybe a little less confident in their futures? What would you say in just your own words?
I would say definitely people are probably less confident in just the way things are going. I mean, you know, for example, let's just look at all this stimulus money. I mean, you know, sure, everybody likes getting a check, but where's that money really coming from?
Yeah, I was talking to Trey last night. We were just talking about a buddy of his who, I'll just say he's in the golf world, and he deals in golf clubs. I mean, you like to golf, but This guy said that he doesn't know what's going on, but he said they are selling clubs and club fittings. It's going like crazy. And his theory was a lot of people are getting the stimulus money, and to them it's just free money. So, hey, go out and get some new sticks or something,
right?
You know? But folks, just because the government's doling out free money or just because your stock market happens to be at an all-time high, we need to be very careful here because as you and I were just talking, Aaron, there's a lot of reason out there to be, again, I'm not a pessimist, folks. Don't get me wrong with this show. We're not doom and gloom. But there's a reason I feel that more and more people are less confident in the nation's economy, our future. And I'm going to cover what I call the 3 E's of confidence building today. We're going to go through those 3. So before we take a break here, let's just kind of cover these, Aaron. You were in the marketing meeting yesterday. That's on Tuesdays, folks, here in the Louisville office. That's where we kind of dissect and finish out a show. What do you think of these 3 E's? I'm going to name them real quick. The first one's effectiveness. Then the next E for confidence building is efficiency. And finally, the third one, which I'm going to be real honest, I had never heard of this word until the pandemic, efficacy. What are your 3 things? And when we looked at the definitions, what seemed to distinguish those 3 from one another? Because they do kind of sound similar, you know?
Well, when I look at those 3, I think, effectiveness to me, it's kind of like how well does something work? Efficiency is, how often does it work, how reliable it is. And then efficacy, I'm kind of with you. I never really heard it myself. And I just kind of think about that word and I think, okay, I guess that means, how trustworthy is something, how trustworthy is a brand or a company or a product.
Yeah, I think we were talking yesterday, and even Trey came up with, we were trying to think of analogies to share with our audience today. He came up with 3 pretty good ones. The first one is effectiveness, and you might think of a horse and buggy. I thought that was a pretty good analogy. I mean, it's effective of getting you from point A to B,
It'll get
right?
you somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's effective, but then you'd have to go to the next one. Probably not real efficient. So when Henry Ford developed the Model T, that was much more efficient because it could get you there more quickly. Now, not necessarily dealt with efficacy, because something could be efficient but break down a lot, right? I mean,
Sure.
Efficacy, and I'm like you, I still am wrangling with this. Let's compare it to the pandemic. We got these 3 major vaccines, and they keep saying the efficacy rate, or I think its probability, is 90% or 95%. So I think what that means is, what is the power or the proof that something is going to come through on a regular basis? So the efficacy rate of 95% of one of these vaccines, I guess, assumes that there's a 95% probability that it's going to be fine, that if you take that vaccine, you're going to be fine. But it still is not 100%. So our point, folks, as we move forward, as I get into the money side of the show as we come back, how effective are your plans for the future? Are your plans efficient? And finally, how much power and proof that this plan is going to work? What is the efficacy of your financial plans moving into retirement? I'm Tony Walker. Hang with me on this. I think this is going to be very helpful in building your confidence for your financial future. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and our Live Well, Die Broke moment and winner of a $100 gift certificate, compliments of Tony Walker Financial, is Bowling Green's very own Wayne Ralph. Now, I know you live in Louisville, so you don't know who Wayne Ralph is, but actually in Bowling Green, people in the construction business may know Mr. Ralph. He's recently retired and sent us a couple of photos. We'll have this on the TV show, but you know what's interesting? We'll be talking about this in a couple of weeks on the greatest fears of retirement. You know what one of the greatest fears in retirement is, Aaron?
Not having enough money when you retire.
That's right. That's number one. But there's another fear, excuse me, and I've talked with a few people about this and just asked them. Many people, especially this is males, men a lot of time, who really identify with their work, working with people, all of a sudden they retire and they're worried about being bored to death.
I was just going to say, yeah, probably a lot of them are bored. I know there've been several men in my church that have retired and they a lot of them eventually have gone back to work, whether it's, being a greeter at Walmart or just something to fill the time to keep them from sitting at home and watching reruns of The Rifleman, as you say.
Well, what I like about Mr. Ralph's pictures that he sent in, he's got a press. He can do all kinds of metalworking, forming. That was his trade. But now what he says, he's having fun with this. He's teaching his grandson how to work on different metals. He's taking on some small odd jobs, so he gets to work when he wants to work. And so I would encourage those of you out there who are thinking about retiring, be sure, now there's nothing wrong with retiring and not sure what you're going to do. I had a lady yesterday, Aaron, that said, you know what? I'm just so burned out, I'm not even worried if I'm going to be bored. I just want to retire. So again, it doesn't mean you got to have a woodworking shop or a metal forming shop like Mr. Ralph, but it does mean that you need to be thinking a little bit about what are you going to do when you retire. So good stuff, and we appreciate Mr. Ralph sending that in, and we'll be getting him a $100 gift card. By the way, if you want to send us your photos of Live Well, Die Broke moments, things that are really cool in your life, especially if you're retired, please forward those to Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and you'll get a chance to win. Each month we'll have a blind drawing for a $100 gift card for those who submit their photos. Again, that's email Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Okay, let's keep moving here. In case you're just out joining us, we're not going to get too much on the Live Well, Die Broke kick. What we're really talking about here today, folks, is this idea of having confidence in the future. Now, we define confidence. Here's my definition of confidence. Confidence in something in the future because you've had success in the past. How do you like that one, Aaron?
I like it.
Okay, so I like to use the analogy of our basketball team I used to coach for years. It was an AAU basketball team. You've seen me. I've shown footage of that on the show. But we had, besides my son, one little young man. Again, I say little young man. He was actually almost 16, but he's hit a growth spurt since then. By the way, he's about 6 foot. Back then, he was about 5'3", Aaron. So picture playing in these competitive tournaments all over this part of the country. This little 5'3" kid's out there. He's left-handed. He looks like he ought to be in 5th grade. And he's warming up shooting about 10 feet behind the three-point mark. And at first, it always happened. If people had never seen him at the gym, they'd kind of look over and you could see him snickering. And all of a sudden, he'd hit a 3 in warm-ups. We'd throw him the ball. He'd hit another one. And I kid you not, sometimes, Aaron, he could be out 7, 8 feet past three-point line and hit 7 or 8 in a row and could do it in a game. So what happened as a coach, because he was so confident in his shooting, I was confident to let him shoot. Now, the reason I let him shoot, folks, is because he made a lot of shots. First and foremost, you have to understand that your confidence in the future, good or bad, is probably based on something in the past. So let's talk about the government a minute. Aaron, I know we can't show this chart on the magic of radio, but we can talk about it. This chart right here, we've covered this on the television show. Look at the decrease in the level of confidence and trust the country has right now in our government. It's amazing, isn't it? Look how it's just gradually just gone down and
Sad.
down and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that what when the study Derek's over there pulling up, what was it? Derek pulled it up. Was it from 1950 something through today?
1960 with Eisenhower.
Okay, what was it in 1960 with Eisenhower? What was the?
Just below 80%.
Okay, wow. So just below 80% of the public trusted the government in the late 50s, early 60s. What is it today, Derek? As of
Just below 20.
just below 20. I mean, folks, that's staggering. So now, as we, again, record this show on April 27th, 2021, the new administration is talking about tax increases. All right? So we have all this stimulus money, trillions and trillions of dollars hitting the street with no end in sight. Nobody's talking about how we're going to pay it back. Well, here's how they might pay it back, Aaron. This is why people don't trust the government. On the one hand, they're handing out free money from printing presses. On the other hand, they're going to tax us to death to get it paid back. So one of the things you need to understand, folks, is confidence moving forward is what are the future taxes going to be? And do you have an effective plan now to try to deal with those future taxes? Did you realize, folks, if you've got a 401k plan? Now, again, I don't know if they'll pass this into law. This is all speculation. This is just stuff they're proposing doing. They could. Here's what they're talking about. If that 401k balance gets high enough, they could actually surcharge it. In other words, just blindly tax it just because it hits certain levels. Add to that the fact that last year in one of the, I think it was the Secure Act or CARES Act, one of those acts, They now require beneficiaries. It used to be the beneficiary of an IRA or 401k could stretch that over their lifetime. No more. Now within 10 years, that beneficiary has to liquidate that account and has to pay the taxes. So we have a real problem with confidence in the future with the government and taxes, and that's a biggie. Here's another biggie. What about the people you turn your money over to? So Aaron, what was it Wes found out? In just a 20-mile radius of our office, remember that? How many advisors are within 20 miles of our office here on Shelbyville Road? Do you remember what that number was?
I thought it was like a couple thousand. I
think it was, wasn't it?
Something
Derek,
like that, like
remember?
4,000 or something. I don't know. It was something crazy like that.
It was bizarre almost. So there's not just hundreds of advisors out there licking their chops to get your money. There's thousands of people, folks. And I guess you got to ask yourself, who are you going to put your confidence in? What is their past track record? Many of you who come to me have had bad experiences. I wouldn't say many. I would say a lot of people come to me with bad experiences of advisors. And if they have a bad experience with an advisor, how do you think they're looking at me at first glance, Aaron? Or you think they're
probably a little skeptical?
They're a little skeptical. And for good reason. I bet there's not a week that goes by that somebody comes in, they'll kind of look at me funny and they're thinking about working with me and they go, all right, partner, if I move this money over, you're not going to pull a Bernie Madoff, are you? You know who Bernie Madoff is, don't you?
Right.
He just passed away recently.
He just recently passed away.
Yeah. I was going to say bless his heart, but I don't know if anybody's going to bless his heart. But Bernie Madoff, if you don't know who he was, folks, he was a Ponzi scheme developer. There's a bunch of them out there. But basically what he did, he befriended the people he knew the most, Aaron, his closest friends, because why do you think they handed their money over to him?
Because they trusted him.
There you go. So folks, just because somebody says they're going to do something or somebody purports to knowing things or thinking where the market's going to go, you've got to understand something. Past experiences do have a lot to do with confidence. So if you've had a poor experience in the past, we need to talk. I want to know why. I want to know what happened. You need to understand that many of you are savers. You're not investors and speculators. And many of the reasons you're not confident in the future is you've maybe tried to dabble in that investment world or speculator world. You don't know anything about it. You lose money. And then you just assume, well, all advisors are out to get my money or everything I invest in is risky. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. So if you are sitting there and you're thinking about it and you're going, golly, Tony, I guess I am not real confident in the future. And I guess as I think through why, I've got several reasons. My question is, Tony, can you help me overcome my lack of confidence? And you bet we can. So when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about Tony Walker Financial. And I'm not going to try to brag too much on our organization, but you're going to really want to listen to this because this is really, really important. If you're out there right now nearing retirement, recently retired, maybe you're one of those that's starting to get bombarded with all these dinner seminar invitations. You're hearing everybody on the radio now talk about retirement planning. More than likely, at some point, you are going to have to trust someone. So the question is, how do you know you can trust them and put confidence in them to see you through a worry-free retirement? I'm Tony Walker. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. One of the most frequent questions I'm asked is this: Tony, when can I retire? It's a great question and one that many advisors are afraid to tackle. Why? I think it's because most advisors do not truly understand retirement planning and how and why a written game plan is the key to being worry-free after you decide to retire. I know this to be true based on all of the daily interviews I conduct with savers who are retired or nearing retirement and simply need help in making sure they can retire worry-free. My personal experience in meeting with over 15,000 savers has allowed me the ability and expertise to quickly determine for that saver if he or she can retire, and if so, when. Sadly, many people who do retire with no written game plan and no full service team of local retirement specialists to assist them do later on begin to worry. We know what you can expect in retirement, and we know how much you should have saved based on your particular needs and goals. Our proprietary software, coupled with a well-trained staff, will give you the confidence you need in deciding to retire and when to begin using and enjoying this money that you've worked so hard to save. We're a little unusual at Tony Walker Financial because besides myself, we offer 3 highly trained service fiduciaries who do not work on a commission basis, but are paid a salary to be there to service what I sell. It's an unusual arrangement, but one I think you'll find to be in your best interest. You'll know that you have competent advice along the way, not only when you retire, but long into retirement. So if you are retired, thinking of retiring, or know of someone who isn't sure about how to go about retiring, why don't you log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. We look forward to helping you enjoy a worry-free retirement, and as always, we're happy to meet or talk to you about your situation at no cost or obligation.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am Aaron Ornder, America's favorite financial sidekick. And Tony, I just want to remind people that, if you've missed any radio shows or if you're just now tuning into this one and you think, man, I want to hear what Tony said in the first 2 segments. Folks, it's really easy. All you got to do is go to SoundCloud.com. SoundCloud.com, right there in the search bar at the very top of the page. Just type in Worry-Free Retirement and click search. When you see that, you're going to see Tony's bobblehead. Great picture of Tony's bobblehead right there. So just click on that and you're going to find all types of past episodes of the Worry-Free Retirement. Now, if you want to catch the TV show, pretty much the same format, but you're going to go to YouTube.com. At YouTube.com, you're going to type in Tony Walker Financial. Click search, and you'll see Tony's smiling face right there. Click on that, and you're going to find all types of media content.
Okay, well, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that. So, folks, if you're just now joining us, we're talking about how to create more confidence in the future, and more specifically in your plans for retirement and your money. So we've referred to what I call the 3 E's of building confidence. The first one is effectiveness, efficiency, and then efficacy. So let's talk about effectiveness, and let's focus a little bit on Tony Walker Financial and how effective we are in building confidence in our saver clients. Well, the first thing I've learned years ago, I've been doing this now coming up on, do you realize in June, Aaron, it'll be 37 years for me in this business.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I haven't made it there yet, but the Lord willing, started in June of 84. Pretty wild with my father-in-law, Bill Moore. Always appreciated him getting me in this business, but it's been a great ride, hopefully many years to come. Anyway, what I decided years ago was, hey, I want to work with the saver personality. I want to work with people like my granddad, hard workers. They want to keep it simple. They're okay maybe with some risk. He hated risk, actually, but, they're okay with some risk, but they don't want to take a lot of risk. And most importantly, they want somebody they can meet in person with, talk to, someone they can trust. So we have been highly effective in creating what I call our worry-free split IRA. We have the worry-free income software, and I've created a staff. We'll talk about them in a minute. I owe a debt of gratitude to them. We've created a staff that, in my opinion, there is no way anybody can out-service us. Now, there's lots of people out there that can outsell us, Aaron. There's a lot of good marketers, a lot of great salespeople out there, and I'm not saying all of them are crooks. They're not. There's some great people out there working in our industry. But most people, because I find this out, are not good at servicing things. Why do you think that is, Aaron? Why do you think it's just a lot easier to sell than service? What's the problem with trying to service stuff?
Well, you got to have more people usually. You got to have
right.
You got to have experts in their particular fields.
Yeah, what I'm afraid of is the advisors get a little greedy and they make more and more money, and they're like, heck, I'm not going to keep pouring it into the business and paying more people to service this stuff. Well, I do, folks. In fact, we're getting ready to share with you all the staff I've got and how much I've grown. And it's not growing to be growing. It's growing so that I can take care of the needs and build the confidence and keep the confidence of my clients. Okay, so that's effectiveness. The next is efficiency. I had a gentleman, his name is Mark Williams. He's the president of a company called Brokers International out of Des Moines. And he literally, Aaron, I think you've seen the video of him, he literally said, Tony, I got to know, how in the world do you all do so much business? And I said, Mark, I was kidding with him. I said, why don't you fly out here and find out? And he goes, okay, I will. So he flew his team, 3 or 4 people at that time, to Bowling Green, Kentucky, where our main offices are located. And all he did was walk around and watch what we do in our offices. And at the end of it, we sat down and he goes, Tony, I've been in hundreds and hundreds of advisors' offices throughout the country. I've never seen an operation run so efficiently. And he was just very complimentary of that. And coming from him, because he's a very organized guy, well respected in our industry, I just really appreciated that. Now, here's the final one. Let's spend a little time going over this. And this is efficacy. So we were trying to wrestle around with this definition. If you're just now joining us, you've heard a lot about efficacy of these various vaccines that are supposed to keep us safe from COVID. And what we've learned is there's no such thing as 100% efficacy. What they're saying is the proof's in the pudding. We think you'll be fine. There's a 95% chance, for instance, that it's the efficacy is 95%, meaning you got a 95% probability you won't get it, but hey, 5% you could. Well, I can't say if you work with Tony Walker Financial, we'll never make a mistake. There's no such thing as 100% perfect, but it's pretty darn high. I think the efficacy and the proofs in the pudding of how well we perform and come through for our clients, which again builds confidence. So there's an article, I was going to take time to read it. We're running out of time here, Aaron, but basically what it's saying is it's trying to help advisors understand the importance of having what's called a succession plan. Do you know what a succession plan is, Aaron?
That is a plan that they put in place in case something happens to them.
That's right.
They go out of office for whatever reason.
That's right. So many times people are impressed with our operation and they'll look at me, they've seen me on TV or whatever, and we're meeting and they'll go, hey, all this sounds good, Tony. I think we want to do business with you. And they'll ask the same question. What happens to Tony Walker Financial if something happens to you? And I'll say, great question. And probably 10 years ago, that could have been a problem, but not now. So let me just go over quickly our organization. Of course, I'm the owner. I'm the main fiduciary. I make all the major decisions, and I like to say I'm the problem solver. When people come to me, savers, and they've got all kinds of different financial issues. I mean, I've been doing this almost 37 years, folks. I've been fortunate enough to be, got a lot of credentials, been trained under some of the greatest minds in the country. There's not many problems I haven't at least seen. It doesn't mean I can solve them all, but I'm pretty good at figuring out stuff pretty quickly. But here's the key. Underneath me is Heather Hughes in the Bowling Green office. She's been with me for years. She's a fiduciary. Underneath me is Trey, my favorite son-in-law. He's a fiduciary. He's full-time in the Louisville office. And now our newest member is a fiduciary, my nephew, Wes Walker, who is also in the Lexington office. So here's the thing, Aaron. I am training them. Certainly I'm training them in different products, but more importantly, I'm training them in the process. How do you take people through this worry-free retirement process and keep them grounded and keep them confident? So if something were to happen to me, Aaron, the good thing is for the client is they know, hey, the process doesn't change. I've still got well-trained fiduciaries that are there to pick up where Tony left off. By the way, we don't have any debt in our business. I've got life insurance paid to the business to help them out if something were to happen to me. We are very, very solid financially because I want the organization to continue on after I'm dead and gone. And then underneath that, we have Connie Fortney, we've got Shannon Ross, we've got Lisa Allerkamp, we've got Mandy Houchins, we have Leanne Tinsley, we have Lisa Potter that just joined us, we have Keith Fuqua, Jennifer Jaggers. And so, besides myself, we got 15 full-time staff, and all they are is dedicated to serving the clients. I'm the only one that, what I like to say, sells. All of these people are dedicated to help you, and the efficacy, the probability of you being satisfied and confident is through the charts. So folks, if you're sitting there and you don't feel like you've got anybody you can trust, you're retired, retiring soon, just received an inheritance, got a ton of money languishing over at the bank you'd like some help with, why don't you log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started button. We can arrange a phone call, a brief phone call at no cost or obligation, or if it warrants, I will be happy to meet with you in either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or give us a call at 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-WALK. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program, folks. And until next week, you remember, if all else fails, you be worry-free.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.